I'm Terrence James, and you're watching another episode of Neutral Reviews, where we do real reviews for real decisions. And today, we are looking at the all-new Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness Edition. And I have borrowed the keys for this vehicle from Subaru of London that has a fantastic location, welcoming atmosphere, and who also offers some of the most capable and reliable vehicles on the road today, including this one. Now, the Crosstrek came out for the 2013 model year and is one of the most popular vehicles on the road today, even though it is in a saturated market. And that is because it is unique within that market. No, the Crosstrek is not going to be able to do any desert Baja racing or do the famous Pike's Peak hill climb, but they can actually do what they advertise, unlike most of their competitors, because they have that rally-bred, world-famous full-time symmetrical all-wheel drive system and a lot more beefed-up components. So they can do the daily with ease and even give you a lot of real weekend adventures. And with the 2024 Subaru Wilderness Edition, like with the Forester and the Outback, they are saying that you can do even more with this when it comes to those fun weekend adventures. So we look to test out the facts, feels, and final thoughts of the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness Edition. We'll probably concentrate more on the daily than the off-road because this is a saleable dealer vehicle, but we will try to give you as many facts as we can up front, test out how they feel, and as always, lead you to your final thought. And if you were a reviewer, if you were a subscriber, you are a fellow neutral reviewer. So please leave your short review in the comments below. So let's take a look. Okay, Subaru uses their 2.5 liter boxer engine in this one, which is capable of producing around 182 horsepower. And that's 30 horsepower more than your 2 liter that comes in the other variants, especially your base model. You can get to 2.5 in some of your higher trims, but it's nice here. And in the Wilderness Edition as well, it has the same 411 rear end final gear in it that the Forester Wilderness has. So it's going to give it a little bit more zip. Now, when we talk about that, it's a 3,400 pound vehicle. So being a lifted hatchback, it is getting a little bit more pump, but with that extra horsepower and rear end gear, it is capable of rocketing it to 0 to 60 in around 8 seconds, which sounds terrible, but on the road, as we'll see, it's not that bad. And it does run through a CVT transmission. I know, don't boo yet. It's actually not that bad nowadays with the Subarus, as we will see. Feels a lot more like a torque converted transmission. And of course, it runs through their world famous all-wheel drive system. And not to bore you to tears, but most cars use a front-wheel drive setup and then allow some of the power to come to the back if there's slippage, and some do a better job than others to make it more seamless. With their all-wheel drive, this is true all-wheel drive. It is 50-50. So you got half the power to the front, half the power to the rear. I guess I got that mixed up, but you know what I mean. And this actually has dual X mode on here as well. So you can transfer the power from left to right a little bit easier than most cars as well, and gives you a few different options if you actually are taking this off-roading to some degree with mud and snow, because sometimes you do want those wheels to spin to get you some momentum, and with those extra features on there, you can do it with this, which is incredible. Also, when we're talking about this vehicle here, when it comes to performance, well, we've got to talk about some of your other things like brakes and tires. So when we come around here, we're going to talk about styling in a second here, but I just want to note that we are using these upgraded Geolander all-terrain Yokohama tires. They are 17s on here, and we are I can't remember, my memory's going, yeah, they are 225/60 17s on here. So this tire is a nice happy medium. It's going to give you some good traction in snow and mud and some decent on-road performance in dry tarmac, and also not punish you in the highway with noise as well. It does steer using electronic steering nowadays because it does have eyesight and a lot of those fancy features. You've got 2-piston front brakes, 1-piston rear. You're about 12-point-something inch vented in the front, 11-point-something in the rear. You do have hill hold and those types of things in this vehicle as well. Now, when we're talking about some of the more off-roady type things and some of the design changes on here, you can see that they have this nice black thing. It does look pretty cool, but it actually has a function, especially on day-to-day, because I'm being blasted with the glare of this beautiful sun off this beautiful blue paint, but not this here. And that's kind of the idea. It helps you when you're off-roading, so when you're trying to go over those rocks and stuff, you're not going to be blinded by that. And again, when we come up here, you have LED lights in the front. I really like that look, very similar to the WRX, and really, you know, aggressive looking, but still small. And of course, you've got the LEDs down here. Now, these lovely looking things are more than just doodads, they will come off and they are recovery points. So hopefully you don't need them, but that's how you'll get towed out. And again, you have different bodywork on the front. Not only does it look more aggressive and nice, in my personal opinion, but they've improved the what they call approach, departure, and breakover angles on this vehicle. So it is even a little bit higher on the Wilderness Edition. The Crosstrek is a lifted Impreza, so it's that hatchback, but lifted up to about 8-point-something inches, and this they give you an extra 6 inches, so you're in about almost 9.5 inches of ground clearance, which is incredible for a small vehicle like this. So you're talking kind of like CUV, SUV type territory, and as well. So you're looking at 20 degrees approach angle, 33 breakover, or sorry, 21.1 breakover, and 33 in the rear degrees, which is pretty good again for a vehicle like this. So let's keep on going back here. When we're talking about suspension, well, it uses your traditional strut front, multi-link rear, and also when we're looking at the side here, you do have a little bit more cladding as part of that design change. So I think it looks good on the Wilderness Edition. I love this bronzy look. They do have a specific name for that, of course, marketing terms for everybody, but it does look really nice. I love the badging. And then up here as well, this serves quite a purpose, especially on a vehicle like this. You can put almost 700 pounds up here when the vehicle's parked, of course, and it is for all the people that want to sleep on top of their vehicle. I'm not going to show you that because I don't have one of those tents, but that's what that's for. And when we talk about all the extra ruggedness, well, you can tow 3,500 pounds when properly equipped with your Crosstrek Wilderness Edition because of that rear end gear and a special cooler that they put on that CVT transmission. So that's pretty good, which is the equivalent to one of these active urban lifestyles hanging off the back of your Crosstrek Wilderness. All in all, not too bad. And when we come back here, we'll pop this open. Nothing fancy because this is built at a price point, so no fancy poppers or anything else like that, but you've got about 55 cubic feet of space when all the seats are down, about 20 when they're all up, which again for a vehicle like this, lifted hatchback essentially, is not too bad. Also, when we're talking that 60-40 split seats, of course, you do have all kinds of stuff in here to tie down, as you can see, everything. You got nice rubber mats with the Wilderness. It does not have a full size spare, but it's got a decent size spare in there underneath here, as you can see, which is nice as well. And you do have this convenient pullover to keep your goodies nice and concealed and light so you can see your stuff, of course. Now we'll come back here to the back. Now when we come to the back here, these seats are actually, as you can see, a little bit different with the material. I think they look nice. It's a synthetic type material, but the idea with these here is it's to be a little bit more durable, and we'll see that in the front as well. But when we come and we sit back here, yeah, they're not too bad at all, really. I'm 5'7", 150 pounds, and once you actually get in here, yeah, I've got a decent amount of headroom and everything else, as you can see, and there's not a lot going on back there because, again, this is built at a price point. I can fit my Moose Baby, and I can fit my hockey stick because you never know when a game of road hockey is going to break out in Canada, as you can see, and that is important, but otherwise there's not a ton going on back here. You do have a couple USB ports back there, but you don't even have any vents or things like that. But again, realistically, it's a smaller car. And when we come to the front, well, this is fully loaded in the Wilderness Edition. One of the other things too I wanted to mention, for your Moose Babies and everything else, the doors still open up a nice way so you can get them in and out. But yeah, when we come back here, it is nicely appointed in the Wilderness Edition. So again, with these seats here, again, we'll talk about it on the drive. You do have that nice, more durable material. Power on the driver's side, manual on the passenger side, and as you can see, just some quick features here. Nice hard button still on your steering wheel. They have upgraded eyesight. Eyesight's been good the last few years, and it's even better now. You can see even further with their peripheral vision and things like that, if you will. Even more succinct and better tuned. It really does, as we'll see, it's a good system. Now again, it's an interesting choice on this and the WRX. It doesn't feel as premium, the leather on there, but again, it's to be a little bit more durable on the steering wheel, and we do like those hard buttons. It is adjustable, but it is manual. And then when we come over and we look at some of the features, you do on this have that beautiful vertical 11.4 inch, I believe it is, touchscreen display. Everyone's going to these giant tablet style displays, but this is nice because it actually has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And not only does it have those things in wireless charging, but it looks really sharp on that vertical display. It's more like your phone. And they realize that not everybody wants a touchscreen and it's not super convenient, especially in Canadian or northern winters, especially in the States and things like that, and in Europe, other places, of course. But you do have heated steering wheel and heated seats on this level of trim, and they've kept, as you can see, hard buttons. Thank you. So you don't have to try to take off your gloves or anything else like that or go through a bunch of menus. But with that said, they have kept a couple hard buttons for things for tuning, your volume, things like that, and your temperature up and down. So all in all, they've done a pretty good job, and Subarus are all about practicality. There's all kinds of cup holders and everything else in here. But the main thing is on these dealer quick drives is let's take this for a drive and see how it is out on the road, both in some mild situations for adventuring and mainly for your daily commute. All right, let's take a look. Okay, here we go. Okay, now that we're getting going, let's just stay in this field here and do a little bit of a, I wouldn't call it an off-road test, but definitely if you're going to a campsite or something like that, you know, you're going to be into this type of territory. And some cars you wouldn't feel comfortable, both because of the ride height and just the traction situation. But as you can see here, it does work pretty good. Yeah, all right, let's just keep going onto this little gravel road here. So this is, again, if you got a cottage or something like that, you might come into a road like this. Ooh, extra ground clearance and suspension travel comes in handy there. Feels really good, actually. Okay, now let's actually try to park this where you're probably gonna park it, in a mall or something like that. Okay, so here we go, dynamic lines as we said. And it's actually not too bad. Some cars just look weird. Cameras look weird, but this looks good. Nice and straight, and ooh, pass. Okay, next thing I want to do now is test out the acceleration, braking, and handling. This is normally our acceleration and braking test, our Grand Prix acceleration and braking test. We'll rush up to the stop sign as fast as we can just to hammer on the brakes. And we also want to test the fun handling here. So here we go. Now this does have kind of a sport mode thing. We're going to put it in the steeper curve. The little S button here, we have it in manual because it is CVT, but it's a fun one with paddles and it actually feels pretty good. So here we go. And you know what? We're going to turn off the air conditioner because it's only 182 horsepower, 3,500 pounds. Okay, we'll give it a fighting chance here. All right, we'll look around and here we go. Oh, now you're picking up. Okay, actually, that's not too bad. Oh, switching gears. We're going to hammer on the brakes. Oh, hold on, everybody. Oh, you all right, Moose? Oh. And, you know, it's no sports car, but it did stop in time. All right, let's test out the handling on our little road track thing here. Okay, so normally, yeah, you're going to go faster than you normally would on something like this, but let's see how it handles. So this is on the Impreza platform, which is a nice rigid one. And as you can see, it holds really, really well. Stuff's flying around back there, mainly Moose, because we don't have him bolted in, because he's not a real baby. But as you can see, this actually holds really well for something with this much suspension travel, and it's really not set up to be a sports car pass. Okay, next we want to also test out the turning radius of this, in case you need to, you know, hurry up and turn around and get back to that campsite really quick because you forgot your Moose baby. All right, here we go. All right, how many point turn are we gonna do? Oh. That's actually not too bad at all. Like I said, this is built on the Impreza, so it really does work well. It's essentially a lifted hatch. Okay, now we're back on the road just doing kind of a normal drive because that's what you're going to be doing with this most of the time probably. It is very capable for those off-road adventures, but 99% of the time you're in town, right? So what's it feel like? What's it like to sit in the seat here and drive and everything else? So the seats, as we were showing in the facts portion, they got that weird synthetic type material on it, but they look sporty and I really like it. But the main idea is the durability, because if you are in and out of this with, you know, wet clothes and dirty clothes, it's easier to keep clean and things like that. We do have power on this side, manual on that side, but what's kind of interesting is, whoa, you can go really low in this. You know, the WRX just doesn't let that seat go down far enough, and it's supposed to be sportier, and this is a Crosstrek, and it seems to me like it goes down further. I don't get it. Or you can really sit up on a perch on this thing, which is more of your CUV type look. The seats are pretty comfortable. I mean, they're a little firm, not like German firm, yeah, but firm enough, but not so firm that you wouldn't want to go on a long adventure with this or anything else like that. They're a little bolstery. It's not that slippery, actually, because of the perforation here, as you might think. Yeah, and all in all, as you can see, the visibility looking outside is very good as well. Yeah, and then the steering wheel, I like the steering wheel, as we mentioned, with the physical controls and all that, manual, telescopic and tilting, but it does have this kind of rougher leather material, and again, more for durability. Not my favorite material, but it doesn't look bad or feel bad. Now, the actual steering itself is pretty direct, but it is a little kind of waterbeddy. But again, not in a, I don't have body controls. We saw it's fine. It just, you know, you've got more suspension travel, things like that. But with that being so, it does kind of float along. It's really nice. It feels more like a luxury version. What you hear keep beeping there is this does have that eyesight. So even when we're going along here, if you're not paying attention, it will try to keep you between the lines. It does have lane centering that we'll check out, but I mean, this will actually, if you drift off kind of, which you shouldn't, this will put you back in, at least warn you. Yeah, and of course it has all the stuff, you know, your blind spot monitoring, cross traffic, you know, all the stuff that you really would like nowadays. What else in here? Can you get to everything? Well, it is pretty ergonomic. I got 2 cup holders here. They fit, as you can see. I got door cards and door pockets with cup holders as well in there. I do have a big glove compartment. You got the space in here. Lots of little spots to put stuff. I got a 12-volt plug-in, USBs, all kinds of stuff, and it's all easy to get to, all easy to touch. And when we talking about that with this 11.4-inch infotainment screen, this vertical one that we're showing in the facts portion, 2 things that I really like with it is it is pretty intuitive and easy to use, like your cell phone. It's got these giant icons so you can touch them pretty easy. It's fairly responsive. It's no cell phone or anything, but what I like is that you've got this home button here, so whether you're an Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or the native one here, you always have, I wouldn't call it hard because they're digital buttons, but they're always down at the bottom. So you do have your wind or your air, you know, your fan, your temperature. You can do all that kind of stuff on here. You can shut your auto start stuff off, start stop off. But I also like here, this button here, you hit that, it's going to bring up your car. So this is where you can quickly get to some of those different settings for your 4-wheel drive, your all-wheel drive, things like that. Easy push of a button. And again, over here, this here, you've got different driver preferences, which is nice for this. You can easily get to, and they're always there. And this button here, which is easy to switch between phones and hook them up and things like that. And again, you can just easily get back there for home. So I really like that, and it does have some basic information up here, but you also get a lot of information in this digital screen in the middle between your 2 analog ones that are raised and look really nice. Now, when we talk about other engagement things, like how about that, don't like to mention CVT, because it's a bad word. It's an awful thing for the car companies just to try to save money, but over the years, car companies have gotten better because people have not been happy with them, and rightfully so. But I have to say, I did the Outback Wilderness Edition, and that was my first CVT, upgraded CVT for Subaru, and this has a similar one in it, and it does work pretty good. And I'm a manual transmission person. A good friend of mine who watches this show, a subscriber, has a manual. I would probably prefer a manual Crosstrek, but if you got to go automatic and you got to have CVT, this is pretty good because you have these paddles on here, and if you put it into manual mode, they actually work pretty good. So we'll turn around the corner here and we'll, go down a couple gears, or fake gears, and it responds like a torque converted or a dual clutch or something. Well, maybe not as snappy as a dual clutch, but it works pretty good. It feels the only way that you can really tell that it is a CVT and not a traditional transmission is because it's got this weird kind of, I don't know, synthetic feel when those gears change. It's very squishy. It just, I don't know. But I'm in these cars all the time doing reviewing. But honestly, I think if you're a casual driver and you don't really pay attention to that stuff, you probably wouldn't even know. So let's take this thing out on the highway and see how it is there. All right, now let's do our highway and handling test where we get just a little idea of what this thing is like to get on the highway, on ramps, off ramps, and just how quiet it is. And also, because this has the improved eyesight, we're going to try it as well. Okay, so here we're going around the on ramp, going a little NASCAR style here in our rugged little off-roader. And as you can see, it floats along pretty good because of that increased suspension travel and whatnot, but it actually has good body control. It doesn't float around like an old Cadillac or anything else like that. It holds the road pretty well, as you can see. Now, doesn't we have enough pep to actually get on the highway? Here we go. I don't have it in any type of sport mode or manual or anything like that, just a normal automatic. And as you can see, it's, you know, it's no race car, but I'm keeping up with traffic here and I can easily get on the highway and whatnot. All right, now that we're going highway speeds here, what is it like for noise, vibration, and harshness? Because this is the Wilderness Edition, so you got those big all-terrain tires on there. But as we were mentioning in the facts portion, it's kind of a happy medium tire. So if you are serious about off-roading, you may want to upgrade it, but it's not bad by any means. It's just, it's not as great as it could be for that, but it balances out, because as you can hear, or not hear, it's actually fairly quiet. So you can have some nice conversations. And the Crosstrek in general is a lot quieter with the NVH than it was before. It's quite a nice little vehicle. Feels a lot more like a luxury vehicle in here as far as the noise goes. Now, also what we want to talk about too is this eyesight, because they have improved its field of range, so visibility, so it should be able to see more stuff and get you out more trouble, and also it seems to be very well calibrated, because the eyesight wasn't the best in the beginning, but now it really is. I like the Honda product, it works really good, but this works probably as good or better. So here we go, very simple. On the right side of the steering wheel, you just turn it on with this button here, and this is going to give you the option to set your cruise control. I'm going to set it at 112. And as you can see, the steering wheel is green, so it's also doing lane centering. Now, you should be holding onto the steering wheel, obviously, but I just want to show you that it does work pretty well. Now, like the Hondas and things like that, it will yell at you after a while if you're not holding on. But we will be good boys and girls and hold on. And it works really, really well. The idea is just to kind of give you an idea, if you're on the highway, a little bit more chance to relax your arms and things like that. And if you do have to grab something, you can, but you should be paying attention. It's an easy system to modulate and live with. Everything works really easy here on the steering wheel. I have to say that this works really well on the highway. So let's go back and do our final thoughts. Now, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and check out one of our other small SUV reviews so we can get more cool cars like this one and our upcoming review. Now, we set out in this review to give you as many facts as we could, test out how they feel to help lead you to your final thought. And we said if you were a subscriber, well, you were a fellow neutral reviewer, and to please leave your review in the comments below. So here's the facts and feels that we use to come up with your final thought. Which is, if you were in the market for a truly capable daily vehicle that's not going to break the budget, and also you're going to be able to park places, and that you're actually going to be able to do some real weekend adventures with, like they advertise and you're interested in, I don't think that you can go wrong with the 2024 Crosstrek, period, and especially the Wilderness Edition if you like that extra look, you like those extra features, and you like that extra capability. But either or, the Crosstrek is famous for a reason, because it is a great little raised hatchback. You can do just about anything you ever want during the day with all the levels of practicality and capability. And you know, with Subaru, they hold a nice strong value because of their reliability. Now, the only downside with these boxer engines is they're not the best on fuel. The Wilderness Edition does have that higher 411 rear end gear to give you a little bit more pep and a little bit more capability. But again, you're going to suffer at the pumps a little bit, but not that bad. As we said, you're probably realistically around 25, 26 miles per gallon combined, which isn't too bad nowadays. So thanks for watching, and we will see you again next time.